So, talked about choice and my stance that I take on that. And this, I guess, video is more for parents, maybe therapists, dietitians, or people working with people with eating disorders, as to why I actually think that taking a sort of really straight and direct and honest approach about eating disorders and eating disorder recovery, as rather than a sort of overly sympathetic and allowing people to get out of doing it and just commiserating with them all the time about how hard it is actually more helpful for the person in recovery. And I think that as a culture, a lot of our culture really, especially in America, avoids conflict. So you never want to be in conflict with a person. And so when I have a new client and they're telling me like that, I don't know, they're saying, oh yeah, I'm in recovery, and then they're telling me that they're eating this tiny amount and they're basically restricting. I don't sit there and go like, oh, well done you for eating. Could you maybe just try and eat a little bit more? I say, that's not good enough. It's not going to get you recovered. Very straightforward. If you carry on like that, you're not going to fully recover. If you want to fully recover, you have to eat without restriction. And you're not doing that, are you? So it's not going to happen, is it? And sometimes people don't like that. But always, by the end of the session, they're like, I know it, I always knew it, and you're right, and I know what I need to do. So it involves often, sometimes, me working through a little bit of conflict with a client. We might not fully agree, and they might be a little bit upset that I said that, and be like, what do you mean? I'm not trying hard enough, that's so mean. And I'll go, yeah, well, I mean it, you're not trying hard enough. And then they'll go through that, and then at some point they'll go like, I know that you're right though. I know that you're right. Yeah, I know that you're right. And actually I appreciate that you're being honest and very direct and telling me what I need to do. And so that's the difference. Like, I don't shy away from that conflict because I know that we're going to have to go through that to get out the other side. We're going to have to go through that with somebody with an eating disorder who is afraid of something. So of course they're going to throw up a little bit of fight in my face when I tell them that they have to do the thing that they're afraid of. They're not going to like that because they're afraid of it. And so that conflict is necessary. And it often doesn't even last that long. It's like a 30-second thing. And then they're like, I know deep down that you're right and I have to do it. So it's like, sometimes I think with treatment providers and friends and people that are helping, they don't want conflict. So in a sense, you're doing a disservice because you're not prepared to go through that little bit of conflict with somebody, which is uncomfortable. No one likes it. But because you're not prepared to do that, you're not actually prepared to sort of move through the messy, uncomfortable parts of recovery with somebody. Because that's what fear is like. Fear is messy and uncomfortable and awkward because it's fear, because the person is afraid. It's not nice. It's not that feel good. It's nasty to move through. But if you're helping someone in recovery, you've got to be prepared to tell them the truth. Tell them if they're restricting. Tell them if they're restricting that it's not good enough and that it's not going to get them recovered. And move through that. Be prepared to have a little bit of conflict about that. Move through it to get out to the other side. And I think that is more of a service to somebody. That is more helpful to them. Rather than telling them, oh, clap your hands, you're doing good because you ate half a sandwich, which is not going to get them recovered in the long run. So I want to get people recovered. I don't want long-term clients. I want clients that I see a couple of times and then they get the fuck on with it and get themselves recovered. And that's the majority of my clients, so I know it's possible. Because people with eating disorders are really bloody smart and they don't need mollycoddling. They can handle it. And so that shouldn't be the goal, to sort of edge somebody along so that they're in this 5-year recovery period. It doesn't need to be like that. It shouldn't be like that. And I think it's a disservice to people if you're going to treat a person in recovery like that. Be honest. Tell them what they don't want to hear but they need to hear. And be prepared to go through that with them, because that is actually what is going to get somebody fully recovered. The sooner that they can get it through their head that what they need to do in order to recover is non-negotiable, and they're either going to do it or they're not going to do it, but not to lie to them and tell them that they're doing it when they're not doing it, the sooner that they're going to understand completely what it is that they have to do, and the sooner they're going to be able to get on and do it. And so, linking that back to choices, don't take that away from a person in recovery. They do have the choice. Don't tell them that they can't help it that they're restricting, because they can. Don't tell them that they can't help it that they're doing compulsive movement, because they can. They choose to do that. Make it clear to them you're making a choice. And if you choose to restrict, you are actively choosing not to recover in that moment. And how the fuck can you get fully recovered when you are choosing not to recover? Because then that gives them the power to make different choices. If you tell someone, oh, it's not your fault, you can't help restricting, that does not give them the power to make different choices. You are not helping them get fully recovered if you do that. All right, bye.